is not too far away. An AMA begins demolition of some 1,000 structures at Kwame Nkrumah Circle to make way for three-tier interchange. We also have business, sports, showbiz, and international news all coming up. Stay tuned. In our very first story, the Trade Union Congress, in an unprecedented move, has, with immediate effect, suspended its representation on the board of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. The decision leaves the PRC in a sort of limbo, as the law which established it requires a TUC to be represented on the Commission's board. Executive Secretary Samuel Sapong at the news conference told journalists the Commission will seek legal advice on its next line of action.
Organized labor on Tuesday morning was billed to join the PURC, the various power producers, and the Ghana Water Company Limited to discuss the recent increase in utility tariffs, which has resulted in a looming nationwide strike threat on the 18th of November. According to the Commission, though they had received prior notification the TUC wasn't going to make it, they were hopeful there would be some representation. The PURC's Executive Secretary, however, says the TUC did not show up.
The TUC, in a letter to the PRC signed by their General Secretary, Mr. Kofi Asamoah, indicated that the TUC has a meeting at the Flassa House and therefore cannot attend this dialogue section. This appeared a bit strange to the PRC since the invitation to attend this dialogue session was to the steering committee of TUC. It is amazing that this whole group of over 50 people is going to attend a meeting at the Flagstaff House. Even if it is so, we expected them to make some concession considering the importance of such a dialogue section on the whole process. It should also be noted that the TUC in their letter did not give any window for the meeting to be rescheduled.
The Commission's lawyer described the last-minute withdrawal of the TUC as unfair and said the PURC will seek advice on the implications of the move.
For TUC to say that they have suspended all activities or any relationship with the Commission, what it will mean is that probably they have sought to amend the law itself by a backdoor approach which is uncalled for, and that the procedure being adopted by the Commission, as said by the Secretary in the press statement, is the position that we have to take. We refer it back to the Attorney General, and then Parliament will look at it, its implications, if indeed they intend their action to have a long-term effect. That is what it will.
Well, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has resolved not to review the recent hikes in utility tariffs. The decision was reached at a meeting on Tuesday, which was boycotted by the Trade Union Congress, at whose instance it was called.
The PURC had called the meeting, having backed down from an earlier position that there was nothing that could be done about the recent hikes in utility tariffs.
Implications for further reductions in the tariff, that is load shedding and deficit, which must be covered to avoid the utility service provider from collapsing. A scenario where there will be a complete shutdown of two thermal plants, Senate and Gensa Power, who are IPPs, one of which belongs to the workers of Ghana. And this will considerably bring the price down, but the implication of this action is that there's going to be load shedding because these two IPPs contribute a total of 128 megawatts in the generation mix. Another implication is that when this plant is removed from the system, the bottom line is that it is going to affect the payments of pensions to workers in the future because it will be an investment by Senate gone down the drain.
The PURC, however, noted it has not completely shut the door if the TUC wishes to negotiate. Meanwhile, representatives of the various power producers and the Ghana Water Company present at the meeting have assured their staff, who are also members of organized labor, will not take part in the planned November 18 strike. They also appealed to consumers experiencing problems with their prepaid meters to exercise restraints, noting they were working on all the concerns and will soon address the situation.
In a related development, the Trade Union Congress has indicated it intends to start a series of demonstrations beginning next week as part of its push for a reduction in the recent tariffs ahead of the planned November 18 strike. In a swift reaction to the PRC's Tuesday news conference, Secretary General Kofi Asamoah explained there can't be any legal ramifications to its decision to withdraw its representation. According to him, despite indications that organized labor may have cracks within its ranks, he is confident the planned strike will succeed.
Secretary General Kofi Asamoah first explained the decision to withdraw from the Commission's board and this morning's meeting.
In the midst of this misunderstanding on the increase, we think that it will be appropriate for us to stay out of the PRC meetings until we resolve this matter. So it is a kind of an expression of dissatisfaction that has led us to say we are withdrawing our person. Indeed, going forward, we may have to find out whether it will be necessary to be represented on the PRC. But for now, the decision of the leadership is that we should stop our rep from attending the meetings until resolved. We wrote formally to the PRC asking that on the basis of that meeting, we cannot be able to honor that meeting. I'm told that they are saying that a small number should have gone. How do you talk about any eventful and fruitful engagement if the leadership leaves with the the rest of the leaders? Who are you engaging? It's not as if we're running away from the engagement. Indeed, if they want us to meet any time before this week, we are prepared to meet.
He says the TUC has already started organizing its members for the series of actions that will take place starting next week ahead of the planned nationwide strike. Injunction against their demonstration.
In other news, President John Mahama has urged critics who want him out of power to bide their time until 2016, describing his job as a difficult one, which requires solidarity. In what has been described as a muted response to recent criticisms that he hasn't shown the leadership needed to fight corruption, the president indicated government will in the next few weeks announce new measures designed to tighten controls and make it impossible for corruption to thrive. Speaking at the opening of an orientation program for metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives, he charged local governors to ensure they do all they can to fight corruption in their jurisdictions.
We have passed many pieces of legislation to enhance the fight against corruption, and yet many loopholes still exist that are taken advantage of to perpetrate the canker. In the next few weeks, we'll announce new measures to tighten the system, to ensure more transparency and make corruption more difficult to undertake. Recently, a few of my comrades have questioned my ability to fight corruption. I dare say they don't know me well. For those who disagree with me and are anxious to see my back, not to worry, 2016 is not too far away. I'll urge them to be patient. In this difficult job, the least one expects is comradeship and solidarity.
All right, not too sure exactly what the president means by 2016 is not too far away. But the reaction to the criticisms appear to contradict comments by both Information Minister Mama Yariga and NDC General Secretary Johnson Isedun Ketia regarding the recent row started by former majority leader and one of the president's three wise men, Alban Bagbin. But we're staying with the presidency, and the President John Mahama has cautioned metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to tighten all loopholes in their respective jurisdictions to stamp out corruption. This, he says, would demonstrate the NDC government's ability to decisively deal with the canker. Addressing the MMDCEs at an orientation program here in Accra, the president warned they will lose or keep their jobs depending on their performance when it comes to job creation, provision of health care and improvement in education.
Recently, the issue of corruption, transparency and accountability has become topical. Our people expect us to demonstrate that we are able to deal with the canker of corruption decisively, both in terms of putting in place the systems that make it difficult for corruption to thrive and also deal decisively with cases of corruption wherever they may arise. They also expect us to be transparent and accountable in everything we do. I send you to your post with my full backing to do everything you can to stamp out corruption. And it is my hope that I can count on your support in the difficult fight against corruption.
The 3-day orientation is for the MMDCEs to better appreciate what is expected of them in office and how their performances will be measured. Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Kwesi Opong-Fosu, urged them to ensure harmony and productivity in their leadership in a non-partisan manner at the grassroots.
MMDs that went through the selection and confirmation process successfully should seize this opportunity to justify the confidence reposed in them by His Excellency and work assiduously towards the improvement of the lives of our communities and not ourselves. It's a call to duty, a duty that you cannot fail. The ordinary Ghanaian wants to wake up assured of good and affordable health care, education for their children, effective waste disposal, motorable roads leading to main markets and back, efficient value addition to agricultural products, and a reasonably secure environment for them and their families.
President Mahama explained their actions and inactions are crucial if the government is to succeed and enjoy the goodwill of the people of Ghana.
You are the frontline fighting force of the government. And for many of our people who have no direct access to political functionaries in Accra and the regional capitals, they judge the government's performance by your performance. I urge you not to become District Assembly Common Fund dependent, as most of your districts have become. Even just simply collecting your property tax can raise almost as much money as your District Assembly's Common Fund. You are the drivers of development and change in your district. And that is why I cannot understand why our streets are still not named, our houses are still not numbered. I gave a deadline for all MMDCs to name their streets and number their houses. I take this deadline very seriously, and your continuous stay in office will depend on how diligently you apply yourselves to the street naming exercise and the house numbering exercise.
The president also stated that about 90% of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives have been appointed. According to President Mahama, the remainder should be announced in the coming weeks.
The challenge has been thrown to them by the president, but now the onus lies on the people who they represent to monitor them and to hold them responsible for their actions and for their decisions. Gifty Andropia, Joy News, Local Government Institute, Medina.
And we have more news coming up. Don't go away. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly has begun a demolition exercise to pave way for the construction of an interchange at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. According to the police, about 1,000 structures in the vicinity will be affected. Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central Constituency, Henry Quarte, has however challenged the AMA's action, which began at Tiptoe, a popular shopping lane there, saying the Assembly should show proof it has the legal backing.
Retailers, mobile phone and laptop repairers at the Tiptoe Lane at Circle in Accra are wailing as a combined team of police personnel and guards of the AMA pulled down their shops Tuesday morning. The demolition exercise is to make way for the construction of the Circle interchange. The sword was cut a little over a week ago for work to begin on the 3-tier interchange. Over 47 shops, which until this morning were used for brisk business, have been pulled down, with several others yet to be downed.
This is democracy. We have created a job for ourselves. If they don't want us to come to their offices to work there, then they should be very careful, because very soon we'll be entering where the castle is. We will be entering there to come and look for jobs there. We will be with them. We will work with them together. We voted for them. And if they don't take care, we also have our ways of getting ourselves a job. We will tell them. They will never sleep in their houses. We are telling them they will never sleep peacefully, because we will keep on knocking. We will not take gun. We will keep on knocking at their doors, and they will give us we have created a job for ourselves. It was not the government who created a job for us. Now they are taking money from us. So why do you come and sack us? Inform us. Nonsense.
Yeah, hello. I think my brother have said it all. But we are ever ready if the government don't want any trouble. Because at the end of the day, we have no job to do. We have nowhere to go. This is our country. So if they're going to continue to treat us as a foreigners, then we will turn our back to them. We will fight them badly. So we're ever ready. You people should send a signal to them, right?
Yeah, the whole operation, in fact, there's one thing. Yeah, I'm Eric Jenfi. Yeah, we are not against the operation itself, but the way they started the whole thing. We have a lot of associations here. We have mobile phone dealers and association, which the whole place, we occupy it. And at the same time, we are taking in charge of anything goes here. So in case even the government want to do something, we are not against it. Even the MP in charge is not aware, which is very bad. You say,
Member of Parliament for the constituency, Henry Quarter, is unhappy about the exercise. He called on the Inspector General of Police to intervene.
I'm sad as a Ghanaian. I am sad and I feel ashamed to even refer to myself as a Member of Parliament for Ghana. I'm wondering whether I'm in Ghana or we are in space. The democracy or the principles, the ideologies behind what our fathers fought for us to have independence and for democracy to prevail in this country today has been dented. What the police and the AMA has done today is turned that freedom of right, freedom of association, freedom of speech and movement upside down. I dare them to show me any court order. They don't have it. So this is illegal. All those here have been paying taxes. It might interest you to know. They pay tax to the very AMA. And what do they do with the taxes? Give it to Wyoming. They pay tax to the AMA. So that makes them lawful tenants of this place.
But the Accra Regional Police Commander in charge of operations, ACP Sylvester Boyo, told Joy News the retailers were given eviction notice 2011. He said the police is only present to protect lives and properties.
But all I can say on authority is that 20th February, I say it, we came here purposely and directly on this spot to a similar exercise because they were illegal people here. And the assemblyman here, he is called Moses also, attacked us. We never did it. Joe FM played that this thing. He, as an assemblyman, was beaten, he was done what and what, and so on. So since 2011, this thing has always been on the drum board. So if anybody is here that he was not given notice, I don't know what notice they need again.
He warned the police will arrest anybody who attempts to stand in the way of the demolition exercise. Etonam said, Joy News.
Parliament has declined approval of the report of the Joint Committee on Communication and Defence and Interior on the contract for a dedicated security information system between Ghana and ZTE Corporation of China. It cited inconsistencies and incompleteness of the report, which invited a lot of queries from both sides of the House, including the former sector minister and now trade and industry minister.
The report of the Joint Committee was supposed to be taken through the necessary stages and approved by the House on Tuesday. But this was not to be, as members, including the ranking member of the Finance Committee, Dr. Anthony Osei, registered their objections on the report presented to the House by the chairman of the Communication Committee.
This committee's report is not for sources of funding at all. It's to approve the supply contract. So I don't know which report. He was not there. Somebody else will be doing it because it does not reflect on what the committee did.
The Minister of Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, also highlighted some aspects he described as shortcomings.
I think that some of our committees must be more diligent than this lousy report that they have produced. If you take the first paragraph of 3.0, this contract is to source the necessary funds. No, what this House is called upon, Mr. Speaker, to do in approving this is Article 181 of the Constitution, that we should look at the terms and conditions of the loan agreement and if it is a transaction. So I agree entirely with him that the introduction to the background is problematic.
According to MP for Asin Central, ZTE Corporation, which was the beneficiary, has a bad reputation and therefore required that thorough due diligence is done before the contract is awarded.
We don't want any excuses whatsoever. Why I'm saying that is that this particular company has a bad record. I'm afraid I have to speak the truth. Mr. Speaker, if you go to Philippines, a contract that was $130 million was increased to $330 million.
But the chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee challenged the MP's claim.
As somebody said that the company is not credible. ZTE company, which they say is not credible, was the same company the presidential candidate of MPP signed. The document is here.
Though Communications Minister Dr. Edward Omani-Boama pleaded with the House to approve the report whilst he filled in the blanks, his pleas were not heard. The Deputy Speaker asked the Minister to finalize the report and resubmit it in a week. Still in Parliament, the Minister of Health was in the House to respond to questions related to the teaching hospital for the University of Health and Allied Sciences. She told the House the ministry has finished a proposal for funding and development of the teaching hospital and that the documents covering it have been submitted to the Ministry of Finance. The minister gave a ceiling of $150 million as the cost of the project. Meanwhile, the leadership of the House informed members the agenda they will be considering before they rise on December 20. Amongst them, Parliament is expected to consider a total of 34 bills, about 18 instruments, and ratify over 29 protocol papers. Key among the activities to be considered include the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, GIDA Bill 2013, and Conduct of Public Officers Bill, as well as the Right to Information Bill. Emmanuel Ante, Parliament House, Accra.
Now for business, I'm Abigail Adumakwenchi. Now first off, Minister for Employment and Labour Relations Niyama Shite says there is no need for organised labour to insist on striking, especially when the country is confronted with fiscal and unemployment challenges. Speaking to Joy News after a closed-door tripartite committee meeting, he was positive organised labour will rescind its decision to embark on a nationwide strike on November 18.
The tripartite committee was inconclusive after hours of dialoguing behind closed doors with organised labour on their threat to strike. Members, however, decided not to open up to the media until they finally conclude the matter. The Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Niyama Shite, however, described the meeting as fruitful.
We meet with them on issues affecting labour markets, and therefore we thought that even if they were going to go on strike, we need to be informed as employers and employees, but we also were not formally informed, and that is why we called this meeting, so that we can dialogue and find a solution to the problem. I'm saying that there is no need for a strike. It doesn't help anybody. Already we are faced with challenges of unemployment. So this is not a time to muddy the waters. I mean, what would at the outside world, how would the outside world see us? I mean, you know, because you see, it's become a competitive market, a world, now a global world, small world, and therefore capital is looking for areas to go very competitively, and therefore you don't muddy the industrialization climate to your country. You lose out, you know, and it's something that I think that we have to watch. And I must say that we have a very knowledgeable, very reasonable labor, organized labor. So I'm sure, and I have that optimism that we'll be able to solve that problem.
The minister is equally optimistic an automatic tariff adjustment system will deal with the current stalemate
And going into the future, he added that the numerous agitations on the labour front will end after recommendations made to fine-tune the implementation of the single spine payment policy takes effect.
And for the first time, we've succeeded in migrating over 99% of public sector workers onto the spine. It's a major achievement, and I do not think anybody, will think that we will not have problems emanating from migration. And as I've said, just post-migration challenges that have to be dealt with, and we are dealing with them based on the report that we get from the committee that we put in place to look at how we can implement those recommendations, and then I'm sure that will bring some relief, to government and to organized labor. Frankly, there is no option to the single spine.
Well, away from labour matters, the Ghana Cocoa Board says licensed buying companies are to blame for the inability of drivers hauling cocoa to the various delivery points across the country to discharge their cargo. According to Cocoa Board's public affairs manager, the companies are unduly flooding the warehouses with a lot more produce than they expected to. Hundreds of haulage drivers have been stranded at the delivery points, unable to offload the bins for weeks.
The Cocoa Board Public Affairs Manager says, though the 32 licensed buying companies who buy cocoa from farmers on behalf of Cocoa Board have specific daily quotas they are to deliver depending on their capacity, many have refused to comply. Noah Menya says the LBCs could be sanctioned.
If you miss bringing the produce that day, it means you've lost the quota. If you pile it up with subsequent days and say that for this number of days I didn't have produce, and since those days have passed after the season had opened, you are putting all together, then we will see the issue that we are seeing at the port, because you cannot expand the port's capacity immediately. So we have looked at the situation, we've gone to the port, we've seen what is happening at the port, and we are going to apply the sanctions appropriate to the LBCs who are flouting the rules.
Despite the measures to prevent such holdups at the warehouses, the storage capacity falls far below the annual tonnage of cocoa. But Noah Menya says the situation is still manageable, especially as they are expanding their warehouse capacity.
We are just about to commission 100,000 capacity warehouse that has been put up at Takoradi. All the LBCs have warehouses up country where they could, after grading and sealing, hold the stock and manage the stock coming to the port. You realize that we still have even sheds or warehouses up country which are lying fallow. And it's because the license buying companies want to move fast and not use it. We cannot expand warehouses to the capacity of our production, because if we do that, it then means that once we start shipment, the warehouses are going to lie fallow, and it does not make economic sense to do that.
He describes as unfortunate the situation haulers at the Tema Port find themselves in.
Really, it's very sad that we subject our operatives to such condition. The capacity of the warehouse, Tema, is to offload about 50 to 70 trucks a day. That is what they can stretch themselves to. Now, if we get 100 trucks coming in a day, then what it means is that almost half of them are going to stand and wait. And the following day, if we get another 100, we are building up the stock. And that is why a quota system must be respected so we can manage it.
But insists if all players in the industry conduct themselves appropriately, it will be easy to manage storage of the beans until they are exported.
Well, Gilbey's Gin has been added to the range of alcoholic beverages belonging to Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited. The company at the product's launch said the liquor will be produced locally.
Ghana's only total beverage business, GGBL, in line with its commitment to delight consumers with fantastic new premium drinks rooted in identified consumer insights, launched Gilbey's Gin an internationally quality spirit drink that has been in existence for more than a century. Already enjoyed in many countries in the world, Gilbey's Gin will now be locally produced in Ghana and distributed nationwide. Gilbey's Gin is a tribute to the entrepreneurial spirit of the founding fathers, Walter and Alfred Gilbey, who in 1857 used their ambition and determination to create a silky smooth quality spirit that would be enjoyed by a wider group of people in the world. At the official launch of Gilbey's Gin, Managing Director of Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited, Peter Indigwa of Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited, stressed the new addition is in line with promoting brands in the country.
Gilbey's is just another step in that direction, but on the spirit side, we have not been known to produce spirits locally. We have always imported spirits, and it mostly appeals to the high end of the market. Today, we are launching a spirit brand that is available and affordable to the normal person in the street. Because we are able to produce it locally, and therefore we are able to produce it at the right cost. Guinness Ghana Breweries will continue to innovate. This is not the last innovation that you see from our business, especially on the spirit side. Now that we have local production capacity, we'll continue to ensure that we avail new brands to consumers at price points that we believe they will be able to afford.
The marketing director of GGBL, Agnes Emefa Issa, added the company, the new product, recognizes two Ghanaian entrepreneurs who have distinguished themselves in impacting the lives of ordinary Ghanaians.
I think what we're trying to say here is that we as Gilbey's brand believes in entrepreneurs, and therefore this evening is to just give some more encouragement to entrepreneurs to continue working hard out there, to be determined, and that a brand like Gilbey's Gin celebrates all entrepreneurs, particularly Ghanaian entrepreneurs. We continue to listen to consumers, and anytime we listen to consumers, whatever choice that they are looking for, we are ready to give them that choice so that they can drink responsibly.
Gilbey's Gin is a delicate blend of perfectly selected ingredients, giving a smooth, refreshing taste and superior drinking experience to target consumers.
Well, and that's all for business. Sports is up next.
Joy News Business. Latest in the world of sports, and we begin with Season 7 of the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament scheduled for 23rd November at the Ewak Sports Stadium, and more corporate bodies are warming up for the event. Tonight, we give you an idea of what the Sweden Ghana Medical Center are doing to ensure they emerge champions on the day. Joy Sports caught up with the team.
SGMC, we go start a go. SGMC, we go start a go.
We have a base of Ghanaian players, but we spice it up with some Scandinavian, Nigerian players.
They already know. Even for the training, there are winning bonuses. Even for the training. Even for the training? Yes, even for the training. So if you score a training, you get... And even representing here, they have bonuses. Right from here, we are signing it for them. Yes.
Right now, I'm the record holder when it comes with Arsenal. They haven't signed any expensive player like me. And I have to prove myself to them that really they have bought a good player. I will be landing. I think I'll come in 1 week before the match. 1 week before? Yes, because I have to train with my people, prepare myself well, and all the distribution will be coming from me to my striker, Adebayo.
I'm a dangerous player because all my brothers who follow me, any pass they give it to me, I score.
All right, so the coming days, you're going to be hearing a lot from these corporate bodies, but they have to watch out for the Joy Sports team. You can guess what I'll be doing there. Now let's talk about the Black Stars. The Black Stars would now prepare in Turkey ahead of the World Cup playoff second leg against Egypt after initial plans to train in Ethiopia fell through.
Black Stars would no longer camp in Ethiopia to prepare for their 2014 World Cup playoffs reverse fixture against Egypt on November 19th as earlier planned. Ghana, who had used the facilities in Addis Ababa in preparation towards the World Cup qualifying doubleheader against Sudan and Lesotho in June, had hoped to return to the East African nation for the Cairo game, which is a fortnight away. The 8-day pre-game training camp initially scheduled for Ethiopia has been changed, and the team would now be training in Turkey, following a report from an advance emissary by the GFA and the Ministry of Sports describing the state of facilities as unsatisfactory to the standards of the Black Stars team. The Black Stars are scheduled to arrive in Cairo on November the 18th for the match to be played at the Air Defense Stadium. The Black Stars have one foot in Brazil after handing the Pharaohs one of their worst defeats.
Right, so now time to talk about the UEFA Champions League. Indeed, the games are ongoing. 8 of them. It's currently half-time. Most of the second half games actually just begun. We'll be looking at what's happening. The goals are not coming in, really, but Manchester City very much well in the lead, leading by 3-1. Sergio Aguero getting 2 goals there for Manchester City. We'll now look at the results and let's find out how all of that is panning out right now. Let's first of all start with Group A, and I have to say, in these games, there's still a lot to go on. So if your team hasn't scored a goal yet, you probably have a chance to get into it. Look at the first game in Group A. Real Sociedad are drawing goalless with Manchester United. A lot of concern for Manchester United fans because they've actually come on the back of a number of wins and they're expected to get this one doing, but it's not really going the way they expect it to go. The Shakhtar Donetsk are also drawing goalless with Bayern Leverkusen. It's not too much of a surprising result there in Group A. A lot more to come in that one. Let's get into Group B. It's shocking to know that FC Copenhagen are leading by 1-0 against Galatasaray, who have a certain Drogba in it for them as well. And Juventus need this win so badly, and I just think that's how it's going to play out tonight. They are leading by 1-0 against Real Madrid. It's a game in which you really need to get the point, or else might not be able to qualify out of the group stage, and it's working well out there. Let's get into Group C right now. Olympiacos are also leading Benfica by 1-0, and then it's goalless between Paris Saint-Germain and Anderlecht. Okay. And then in Group D, I told you Manchester City leading CSK Moscow by 3-1. Sergio Aguero getting the brace, and he cannot stop scoring really at the moment. Victoria Plens as well, drawing goalless with Bayern Munich is also not a surprising result really if it stays like this. So a number of minutes already into the second half, and we'll just pick up and find out how all that happens then. Well, that'll be all for sports tonight. My name is George Adde Jr. I will not forget Chelsea. We're talking about Chelsea. Israel's Chelsea will be back tomorrow. Definitely want to play Schalke 04. We'll find out how that pans out. He'll join us with international news. Have a good evening.
Sports was an explosive worship moment at the dome of the International Conference Centre. This year, he's promising a much bigger concert at the Accra Sports Stadium. The UK-based Ghanaian gospel artist Soni Badu says this year's concert, dubbed Africa Worship with Soni Badu live in Ghana, will be more thrilling and anointing-filled, as renowned international gospel artist Ron Kinoli will also be there. Showbiz caught up with Soni, who's already in town.
This year, it's going to be at the Accra Sports Stadium, and I just can't wait because we're bringing Ron Kinoli, and then I'm bringing some comedians from Nigeria and a lot of artists from Ghana as well. So it's been titled Africa Worships with Soni Badu. I've got Funny Face coming, you know, he's a good friend, a good brother. So we're just making sure you have everything there on that night. Right. So we get on stage, and I think one of the things went wrong. So it caught the curtains, and my band was still playing without looking back because I said, don't look back. And, you know, when you're looking at the crowd and they're looking behind you like, look behind you. So I looked and I saw the fire. Now, I didn't know whether to cut the show or to keep going. So I had to be very professional and just pray that the fire service comes. You know, and then they came, they did a good job. Took the fire down, and then we just carried on with the concert. But it was fun but scary.
Showbiz.
The bulletin before we'll go the quick run through our top stories. PRC calls the TUC's bluff over utility tariff hikes, insisting they will not be reviewed. The TUC meanwhile says a series of demonstrations are being lined up for next week ahead of the planned November 18 nationwide strike. The Employment and Labour Relations Minister, however, remains optimistic organised labour will have a change of heart about the planned strike. President Mahama has fired back at critics he says wants to see him out of power. That 2016 is not too far away. And AMA begins demolition of some 1,000 structures at Kwame Nkrumah Circle to make way for 3-tier interchange. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Israel Lyon.
Hello, good evening and welcome. About 25 hours ago, one of my brothers, a chief, was brutally shot and murdered in cold blood. The incident occurred after several death threats had been made towards Nana Kwaku Jima Akwana, the traditional ruler of Siakwa in the Bron Ahafo region. 2 of his cars had been torched 3 months prior to his murder. The background for this aggressive behavior is chieftaincy dispute. Traditionally, there are lines of succession and accession that must be adhered to. Lately, though, it seems those lines are blurred by the day. How can we bring into sharp focus what needs to be done? How do we keep things like this from happening again? Every crime perpetrated against Nana Kwaku Jima Akwana was reported to the police. As a citizen of Ghana, he did not be afraid to walk through the street and indeed relax in his backyard after an event, should he so desire. As a citizen, did he need extra security because of his position as a traditional ruler? Now, that's what we're here to discuss today. We're here to analyze, the chieftaincy dispute resolution and security. The Minister for Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs, holds this rather dear to his heart, and he's in the studio with me so that we talk about this issue. Dr. Henry Dana, Minister for Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs, is in the studio to talk to me. Joining us on the phone later would be Felix Longi, Research Fellow, University of Development Studies, and then ACP Patrick Edusei Sapon of the Bono Ahafo Police Commander. Joshua Beidu is a school administrator in the Siakwa Bono Ahafo area. My name is Nana Nsakwao, and with a solemn heart I say this is PM Express. Right after the break, we get talking the complex matter of chieftaincy.
We are normally boasting about our equipment that we have. We know that we do have the setup to take care of a patient in terms of high technology, current equipment and all that.
Somebody whispered it to my ears that there is a center. So I came with my wife. Boom, this was the center.
Do not delay. Do not trust those who are not cancer specialists. I see too many patients who default from proper treatment, from proper advice, and go for herbal treatments, for prayers. Prayers are good, but please combine them with the school medicine. Prayers alone do not treat or cure cancer, nor do the herbal medications.
CareerPath.com, bringing relevance to the job market.
This is CareerPath.com, a platform that brings the employer and the employees together so the employee can delve into the mind of the employer to know what exactly will be expected of him or her before he sits in front of him at the interview or boardroom. CareerPath.com is your program taking professionals to the center stage.
This and every Sunday at 3 p.m. on the Joy News channel.
Don't miss the all-new JN exclusive series every weekday at 7 p.m. on Joy News on Multi TV.
Seydou Dana, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Dr. Chieftaincy dispute it's like trying to settle a battle where both sides are fighting for God. It becomes very difficult. The passions are high. Everybody is a royal. We are all entitled to the stew. And you are at the helm of affairs. I mean, how do we even begin to tackle such an issue?
Well, thank you. First of all, let me, by way of analysis, try to explain that to understand chieftaincy dispute, we need to understand where we are coming from against our background in Ghana. We have research have identified several types of chieftaincy dispute. In fact, there are so many types that some types are not in this country, but I'm talking about those we have identified in our country. And it's very important to ask yourself the cause of a dispute. When you know the cause, that helps you to understand it. We have what we call jurisdictional disputes in chieftaincy. I'm talking about a dispute between chiefs over jurisdiction. And that is to say, like you mentioned, your villages cluster, who owns what? That could be an issue in chief that could lead to dispute.
The borderlines.
Borderlines. Not just land, but the borderlines in jurisdiction. Who is this village under you, so and so chief?
Oh yes.
Or is this village under me, so and so chief? Who takes orders from who? Because the chieftaincy structure is like a military command. Bear in mind that before the coming of the European, when we ruled ourselves along the lines of our immemorable customs and traditions, chieftaincy was a sort of military command. You had chiefs when